Please help me reach 1,000 subscribers. Please subscribe to my channel Painful Promises. Your support means a lot. Like, share, and turn on the notification bell. Enjoy the video. It all started with a simple, innocuous text. Running late. Dinner with someone tonight. Don't wait up. The words were casual, almost cheerful, but my stomach dropped. Dinner with someone? My wife, Emily, hadn't mentioned any plans. I stared at my phone, the screen burning against my palm. For a moment, I questioned myself. Was I overreacting? Paranoid? I tried to tell myself yes. Maybe it was just a friend. But a nagging instinct refused to let me. The first sign had been subtle, months earlier. Her phone always face down, texts deleted as soon as she read them. Work stuff, she'd say. But the small lie felt heavier each time. Then came the missed calls, late-night calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Each time I asked, she shrugged them off. Nothing important. But my gut knew better. I remembered the late nights, when she said she was at a friend's place, but the car I saw parked across the street didn't match the address she'd given. I had brushed it off, questioning my own judgment. Maybe I was overthinking, maybe I was imagining betrayal where there was none. But that night, when I read her text, the pieces started to fit. I drove to the restaurant she mentioned. My hands gripped the steering wheel tightly, knuckles white. I wasn't sure if I was angry, scared, or heartbroken. Maybe all three. When I arrived, the place was cozy, dimly lit, the faint smell of garlic and wine in the air. I saw her at a table, laughing, really laughing, with a man I didn't know. He looked like someone who belonged in her world now. My chest tightened. I had loved her, trusted her, and here she was, with someone else. I didn't storm in. I didn't yell. I walked calmly, each step measured, carrying an envelope that had taken me weeks to summon the courage to finalize, divorce papers. I approached the table, and her eyes widened the second she saw me. "Alex, what are you?" she started. I cut her off. "Emily, I think this explains everything better than words ever could." I placed the envelope on the table between us. Silence fell instantly. The clinking of forks stopped midair. Conversations around us hushed, eyes turning toward our table. The man across from her froze. Emily's mouth opened, closed, and then opened again. You can't do this," she stammered. "I can," I said quietly, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. I waited. I questioned myself. I hoped you'd come back to me. But you chose this life, without me. Tears welled in her eyes. I wasn't sure if they were guilt or shock. Maybe a little of both. "Alex, I didn't mean. I love you." Her words hit me like shards of glass. Love doesn't look like betrayal, doesn't hide in texts, and doesn't sit across from someone else in a restaurant. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I simply said, "I loved you enough to wait. But I can't love someone who isn't here with me." The emotional fallout hit me immediately afterward. Driving home, the city lights blurred through tears I hadn't realized I was holding back. Memories that once felt warm, our first apartment, the late-night talks, the laughter over spilled coffee, now stung. Everything felt tainted. I questioned every smile, every promise, every whispered "I love you" that had filled our home. It wasn't only Emily's betrayal that hurt. It was the betrayal of trust one had given freely. I had allowed myself to be vulnerable, to believe in a shared life, and now that faith had been broken. In the days that followed, I grappled with the decision I had made. Some nights, anger would flare, tempting me to call her, demand explanations, or rage at the injustice. Other nights, quiet grief settled in, leaving me staring at the ceiling, replaying the restaurant scene, imagining all the ways it could have gone differently. But slowly, clarity emerged. I realized that the divorce papers weren't just a legal document. They were a boundary, a declaration that I valued myself more than an illusion of love. I reached out to a close friend, someone who had witnessed my marriage from the outside. "It hurts," I admitted. "But I feel free. And maybe that's worth the heartbreak." He nodded, silent for a moment. Sometimes, the hardest part of love isn't losing someone, it's realizing who they really are. I understood that now. The turning point came when Emily finally called, weeks later. I didn't answer. I saw the messages piling up, pleas, confessions, apologies, but the anger had faded. It wasn't about punishment anymore. It was about protecting myself from further heartbreak. The quiet strength I felt surprised me. I walked past the places we used to go together without pain. I laughed again, slowly, genuinely. I started focusing on work, hobbies, and friendships I had neglected during the marriage. Life didn't feel empty, it felt vast, full of possibilities that weren't tied to someone else's choices. Even in closure, there were moments that cut deep. The scent of her perfume on a forgotten jacket, the sound of a song we once loved. But those moments became reminders, not of loss, but of survival. I learned that betrayal doesn't always end loudly. Sometimes, it's quiet, almost invisible, like a text, a glance, a hidden smile. But healing isn't about revenge or closure from the other person. It's about reclaiming your own life, your own dignity, your own heart. So if you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, know this: heartbreak is devastating, but it's also a lesson. The courage to let go, to stand firm, and to choose yourself is one of the most powerful acts of love you can give yourself. I want to hear your stories. Have you ever confronted someone about betrayal, or faced a moment where you had to reclaim your life in front of them? Share it in the comments. And if you want to hear more deeply human, emotionally raw stories like this, subscribe to the channel, because we navigate these moments together, and there's strength in shared experience. Because in the end, the hardest but most freeing choice is saying, I loved you enough to know when to walk away.